This is Bioshock, a game originally released in August 2007 and remastered in September 2016. It's an action RPG housed in the ruined underwater city of Rapture. There's 65 achievements, and this is the story of how I got all of them. Before the video begins, I'd like to talk about the game for a bit. If you'd rather skip straight to the first chapter, here's the time code now. Bioshock is a game I've always held very dear to my heart, as it's one of the very first FPS RPGs I ever played. I've already gotten 100% of the achievements before, so I know a lot about the game, but I haven't played it in several years, so I decided to do it again, this time hopefully faster than before. But what exactly is 100% in Bioshock? Bioshock doesn't have any metric within the game that shows a completion percentage, so I will be going by Steam's achievements for the game. And how will I be getting these achievements? These achievements will be obtained fairly, meaning no game-breaking exploits or glitches or mods. It took multiple runs to get all the achievements, so the video will be separated into different chapters, those chapters being the first playthrough, I Chose the Impossible, and the challenge rooms. The game begins with the protagonist Jack aboard an airplane, however the plane unfortunately crashes, with Jack seemingly being the only survivor. He wades through the water until he reaches the steps of a lighthouse. Entering the lighthouse, Jack heads down and enters the submersible, and then heads down. Jack then arrives at the welcoming center, and is given the greeting of a lifetime. After Jack watches a man die, someone tells him to pick up the radio nearby. When he does so, the guy on the other end reveals himself to be Atlas, and he's going to assist Jack in navigating the city. Jack steps out of the bathysphere and heads further into the city, where Atlas sticks a security ball on the splicer that killed Johnny. Once the splicer leaves, Atlas requests Jack to find some sort of weapon to clear the rubble ahead, where Jack finds a wrench. Using the wrench, Jack clears the rubble and heads up the stairs. A flaming couch is sent hurtling towards him. I dodge the couch by backing up before heading up the stairs, and the first combat encounter is introduced. This is a thuggish splicer, and it holds a melee weapon. It can't do much aside from hitting you with the weapon, so backing up as it strikes is the ideal way to avoid them. Jack kills the splicer and heads up to find a rather cheerful vending machine called the Gatherer's Garden. It's here where he finds the Electrobolt Plasmid, plasmids being injectables that rewrite one's genetic code to give them supernatural abilities, in this case to give one the power to shoot lightning at their fingertips. Jack doesn't receive the whole having his genetic code rewritten and falls off the balcony, passing out. He gets a few moments of consciousness, revealing Splicer's trying to see if he has any Adam on him, but they leave after hearing the warning signs of a Big Daddy. That Big Daddy is soon to appear, bringing alongside him a Gatherer, who tries to gather from Jack but realizes he's still alive so moves on. Jack wakes back up, now with the power of electricity. This introduces a new mechanic of the game, plasmids. Throughout the game, plasmids can be found or bought and each do their own thing. Their main purpose is to serve as an aid in combat, and also to help open the map. For example, doors can be short-circuiting, and they can be shot at with the Electrobolt to get the door open. Plasmids require Eve in order to be used, and Eve can be restored by using Eve hypos. By using Electrobolt on a short-circuiting door, Jack is able to progress into this water tunnel, but some debris from the plane crashes into the tunnel, closing off the door behind him. He goes forward until he reaches a room where a splicer tries to ambush him. Atlas teaches some combat tech dubbed the 1-2 punch. By shocking a splicer with the Electrobolt, they become stunned, not being able to attack for a period. While they are in this state, hitting them with the wrench deals 4 times the wrench's base damage. After using the 1-2 punch to kill the splicer, another appears in this doorway, so I use the same method to kill it. Moving on, Jack reaches an elevator and takes it up, where Atlas shares a bit of his story. He's got a family locked up in Neptune's bounty and needs Jack's help in order to see his family again. At the top of the elevator, Jack finds a lady singing to a bass. Nope, that's a gun. This is the first ranged weapon Jack gets access to, and it's a simple pistol. Jack continues forward, entering this restaurant, where I find the first audio diary of this game. There are a lot of these scattered about Rapture, 122 of them to be exact, and they give a little lore and world building to the game, and some of them can give codes to doors. There's an achievement related to obtaining all of them, so I'll describe them in a bit more detail once I'm about to get the achievement. Going downstairs in the restaurant leads to some extra goodies, and after killing a few enemies to get into the kitchen, then leaving, Jack sees a few enemies. Atlas tells him if enemies are in water, shooting Electrobolt at the water will electrify it, dealing damage to any enemy inside of it. Do be careful doing this, as the electrified water can hurt you as well as the enemies. I shock the water and kill the enemies within, and obtain my first achievement of the run, Toaster and the Tub. Going back upstairs and heading into the bathroom, Jack comes across a hole in one of the stalls, which leads him to the catwalks of a small theater. Atlas asks Jack if he would kindly put his weapons away and points at the Gatherer, or little sister, below. Jack then gets the first-hand experience at seeing how powerful a Big Daddy is. After that show, Jack heads closer to the Rapture Metro, which will let him travel to Neptune's bounty. On the way, a new enemy is introduced, a leadhead slicer. This one carries around a pistol, so it can attack you from a distance. My best advice for killing them easily is to Electrobolt them, do the 1-2 punch, and just keep whacking them with the wrench until they die, as sometimes they have an aversion to shooting you if you're up close to them. However, going headfirst into these enemies isn't always the best idea, so you could use your pistol to safely take them out from a distance, but I personally had more success from 1-2 punching them or just whacking them with the wrench without Electrobolt. Jack finds some more enemies held underwater, so I use Electrobolt to swiftly kill them before jumping down and heading to the metro to go to Neptune's Bounty. Never mind! Jack's access to Neptune's Bounty's bathysphere is closed off, but after some enemies, which can all easily be killed with a well-timed Electrobolt in the water, Atlas chimes in to say that Andrew Ryan, the founder of Rapture, closed the path off, and Atlas opens a way to the medical pavilion, urging Jack to get there. Just before Jack can get into the bulkhead, Ryan shuts his access to that too, before making his debut. He tries to figure out who sent Jack here before saying Rapture isn't for Jack to plunder, before sticking some splicers on him. Thankfully, Atlas overrides the bulkhead's lockdown, which allows Jack to travel to the medical pavilion. Upon exiting the bulkhead, I get the next achievement, completed Welcome to Rapture, for completing the level of the same name.
Find your way to emergency access.
No way, Jim. It's not safe.
Jack now finds himself within the medical pavilion, and Atlas tasks him to getting to emergency access to override the lockdown Ryan initiated. I find a door, but it's jammed with a security bot between the doors. In order to get it unstuck, you need to hack the bot to reactivate it, and this introduces the hacking minigame. The minigame starts on a square grid, with the goal to connect the starting pipe to the ending pipe. You'll start with some pipes revealed, but you'll need to reveal more by clicking on the tiles on the grid. You can then swap pipes from one place to another by dragging and dropping, and this will swap the places of your chosen pipes. Be warned, some tiles can be damaged or set with alarms, and having the pipe's metallic liquid flow into them will cause great harm to yourself or a sounded alarm respectively. Speaking of the metallic liquid, it's constantly flowing and serves as your timer. Once the liquid flows into a pipe, that pipe cannot be swapped anymore, leading to needing quick thinking and reflexes if you want to solve some of the tougher hacking jobs. If none of that's of interest to you, you can also buy out a machine, instantly hacking it at the cost of money. The price increases the more difficult the hack is. After successfully hacking the security bot, it reactivates and becomes friendly towards me, allowing it to shoot at enemies for me. I also get my next two achievements here, hack the security bot and one successful hack, both obtained for hacking the security bot. With the security bot no longer jamming the door, Jack enters the emergency access room, but the override doesn't work as he needs Dr. Steinman's key to do it. However, flipping the lever did open doors behind him, which led to a lever that opened the way to the medical pavilion proper, but also a Tommy gun, which is immediately proven to be amazing in combat, just at the downside of ammo consumption. Before heading back to the medical pavilion, I head back and hack one of the vending machines, the Circus of Value. Real quick, there's two types of vending machines in the game, Circus of Value for assorted goods, but mainly first aid kits and hypos, and El Ammo Bandito for different types of ammunition. After hacking the vending machine, I get the next achievement, hack the vending machine. Jack finally heads into the medical pavilion proper, and he's immediately attacked by turrets. These can be hacked as well, and just like the security bots, this makes them friendly, allowing them to attack enemies. After hacking the turret, I get another achievement, hacked a turret. After hacking another turret, Jack heads his way to the Eternal Flame, where the door burst open to greet him. This introduces a new enemy, the Nitro Splicer. The Nitro Splicer can throw grenades at you, and if you get too close, can throw a smoke bomb to get you off their trail. Again, the 1-2 punch is extremely effective against them, and if they happen to throw a smoke grenade up close, just swing your wrench around as they take a second to move after throwing it. Heading further into the wing, the first security camera is shown. The cameras have a sensor that shows where they're looking, and if you stand in it for too long, they'll sound an alarm which typically lasts for about a minute, and this alarm summons about 2 aggressive security bots. Here's a fun tip. These bots can be electrocuted, then hacked to turn them friendly, allowing for an easy renewable source of these guys if they happen to be destroyed in combat. While the camera is searching for you, if you manage to hide somewhere it can't see you, it'll stop tracking you, allowing you to bypass the camera if you're quick enough. The camera can also be hacked and becomes friendly towards you, meaning if it spots an enemy in its sensor, it'll sound an alarm against them, spawning friendly bots to take them out. Though these ones won't follow you if you don't hack them. I go out to the security camera, and as long as you're stealthy, you don't need to electrobolt the camera to hack it. I quickly hack it and get another achievement. Say with me now, hack the security camera. I then find this cremator and press this button to activate it, and after it burns the body, I get my first tonic of the run, Hacker's Delight, which grants some health and Eve after successfully hacking a machine. Tonics are basically passive plasmids. There's 3 types of tonics, combat, engineering, and physical, and each can have up to 5 of the respective tonic equipped, though you only start with 2 slots available. Tonics can be found throughout the map or purchased, so I'll describe any new ones I pick up. Jack goes up the stairs in the swing and finds a vent he can crouch down into, allowing him to pick up his next plasmid, Incinerate. This thing allows you to ignite things on fire, enemies, gas, and even ice. These enemies demonstrate quite nicely the effects of Incinerate on spilt gas, though do be careful as this does harm you if you stand in it. After they all go down, Jack heads back to the main area and heads down some stairs near Eternal Flame where the path forward is blocked by ice. Thankfully, Jack already has Incinerate, so he uses it to melt the ice away, allowing him to get to the medical pavilion's dental area. Jack heads into the cure-all and... This is an RPG turret, and is really bad to fight against, but really good once you hack it and make it friendly. After I hack it... Oh? No? No achievement for hacking an RPG turret specifically? Okay. I head a bit further into the cure-all and find a vent cover I can smack open with the wrench. This leads me to a combat tonic, Wrench Jockey, which increases the damage of the wrench, so this one's probably always going to be in one of my combat tonic slots, as I love attacking things with the wrench. The wrench's new power is immediately shown as I can one-shot luggage splicers now, without even needing to electrocute them first. Going deeper into the cure-all, there's another camera, but near it lies a safe. These can also be hacked, and have some of the hardest base difficult hacking in the entire game, by having a smaller board, more dangerous tiles, and faster flowing for the metallic liquid. After I hack the safe, I earn another achievement, Hack the Safe, and this should be the last achievement for hacking a specific object. Heading straight from the cure-all leads me to an open area with a shotgun on the ground. I pick up the shotgun. Why'd the lights turn off? Picking up the shotgun instigates a few waves of enemies, but it does go to show the strengths of the shotgun. Or would if my wrench wasn't so powerful already. Nonetheless, the enemies go down and I get a new weapon to boot. Eventually, Jack finds his way into Dandy Dental, where he finds his next plasmid, Telekinesis. This allows you to pick up items with your mind and throw them. This can be used to throw enemy projectiles back at them, such as the grenades the Nitro Splicers throw, and can also collect items that are out of reach to you. Heading out of the dental area, I head over to, I guess, more dental. This door is locked, but the key is right there, and by using Telekinesis, I grab the key and open the door. Unfortunately, there's nothing interesting in here other than a safe and a camera. Exiting that room, I'm barraged by a turret, so by crouching through a broken window, I enter a new area and hack the turret to get it to stop attacking me. This room had an engineering tonic, Speedy Hacker, which reduces the flow rate while hacking. This guy tried to get the jump on me, but he made his entrance way too telegraphed. There's a vent in the same room, which leads to a little storeroom where I pick up an auto hack tool. This simply lets you automatically succeed in the hacking minigame in one of your choosing, and I typically chose to save these for saves. Heading back to the main area, I go upstairs and start heading to the surgical wing of the medical pavilion. Reaching it, Dr. Steinman immediately collapses the way in, and I need to use the explosive from the splicer up on the balcony to destroy the debris. Thank goodness I did all that side questing, as I already had the telekinesis plasmid needed to destroy the debris. Doing this, I head forward and Simon inconveniences me again by summoning an aggro bot on me and sicking a turret on me too. I hack both of these and soon confront Steinman. Quick tip, these health machines can heal you at a price, but you can destroy them easily with your weapons and they drop 1 to 2 health kits for free. This also prevents them from being used by splicers, as splicers will run away from you when they're at low health to go heal themselves at health stations. Steinman goes on a rant about his failures in making people beautiful before calling Jack ugly and inciting violence. Well, peaceful negotiations are out of the way, so Jack and his team of security bots put down the plastic surgeon failure and retrieve the emergency access key from him. This victory grants me my next achievement, Defeated Dr. Steinman. As Jack goes to leave the surgical wing, the tunnel breaks, sealing off the original entrance and forces him to take another path. This path already proves to be more interesting as a Big Daddy gets thrown through the window, and entering the room he got thrown from shows a Slicer trying to get some Atom off a little sister. Tinbomb kills the Slicer. This cutscene ain't about you, security bot! Get out of the damn frame! Tinbomb expresses that she doesn't want us to hurt her little ones, as she was the one who created the Little Sisters in the first place. But Jack needs Atom to survive, and Little Sisters are the only ones who carry it. Thankfully, Tinbomb has another solution, and gives Jack a rather unique plasmid, one that would let him save Little Sisters from whatever she did to them, and promises to make it worthwhile if he does this. Walking up to the Little Sister, Jack is presented with 2 choices, Harb Squirst and Res Square E. Well, anyone who chooses anything but Res Square E is a monster, so I choose to save the Little Sister. Tinbomb thanks me, and soon a Gatherer's Garden is revealed. Now that I have Atom, I can spend it on upgrades or new plasmids and tonics at this machine. Right now I can only afford a few select things, as rescuing a Little Sister only rewards 80 Atom, whereas harvesting gives 160. I buy a health upgrade so I can last longer in fights before returning to the medical pavilion. This is where the first actual fight against a Big Daddy can occur, and I decided to take it on. I like to mention a mechanic with weapons real quick. Each weapon aside from the wrench has 3 ammo variants, 1 normal, 1 rare, and 1 special. For weapons that I have available right now, the pistol and machine gun special ammo are armor-piercing rounds and anti-personal rounds. Armor-piercing is good against machines and Big Daddies, where anti-personal are good against splicers. The shotgun has electric buck and explosive rounds. The electric buck deals shock damage stunning the enemy, and the explosive explodes. I load my shotgun with some electric bucks before beginning the fight with the Big Daddy. I make sure to fight the Big Daddy in the room where I have 2 hacked turrets, as turrets are amazingly helpful with Big Daddies, as they can not only damage them, but also provide a distraction so the Big Daddy isn't solely focused on you. This Big Daddy is specifically a bouncer variant, which specializes in melee combat. It's able to whack you, charge at you, and also able to stomp and scream, which slows you down for a bit. I start off by unloading some normal machine gun rounds into his head, which deals extra damage, then go in and shoot it with some electric bucks, which finishes it off. I rescue another Little Sister before heading back to emergency access. Here, using the key from Steinman, Jack turns off the security alert and heads to the bathysphere, which lets him travel to Neptune's bounty.
Now you've had the pleasure of Andrew Ryan's company.
Entering Neptune's bounty, Jack heads forward and watches a new splicer jump up into the ceiling before entering the lower wharf. He heads over to Fontaine Fisheries where a few enemies in an RPG turret lies, so I make hacking the turret my priority and it helps me take out all the enemies. When walking into the fisheries, Jack uses his wrench to knock on this door and a guy named Peach Wilkins answers the knock. He tells Jack that if he wants into the fisheries, he'll need to head up to the upper wharf and grab a research camera. But before Jack can leave, he's ambushed by a new type of splicer, the Spider Splicer. This splicer has the tactical advantage of being able to crawl on the walls and ceiling, but it can also easily be brought down from those heights by shocking it with Electrobolt. This splicer can also throw its hooks at you, but with telekinesis you can grab the hooks midair and throw them back. During the fight, Wilkins sends some security bots to help me fend off the splicer. Unfortunately, I don't kill it quick enough and it escapes through the ceiling, but even more unfortunate, Wilkins' security bot follows it and I can't hack it to assist me in future battles. Wilkins states that enemy's too strong for Jack at the moment, but sends a new weapon on the conveyor belt, a grenade launcher. This has 3 types of ammunition too, the basic frag grenade which explodes on contact on an enemy or after a bit when it's shot, the rare proximity mine which when shot sticks to a surface and has a radius that when an enemy intersects the mine explodes, and the special heat-seeking RPG which when shot homes onto the nearest target and deals big damage. With the way to the upper wharf now unlocked, Jack begins to head there. On the way I enter a room with a good bunch of turrets and cameras, and pretty much hacked as many as I could. But soon Jack finds a room with the research camera and a willing participant to be captured and filmed. The research camera is technically a new weapon, but it can't do any damage. Instead, it takes a photo of your screen and gives you a score towards a certain type of enemy, or researching an enemy. This score is built up continuously until it reaches its max, giving you a level in that enemy's research. Each research type has 5 research levels, with every other level giving you increased damage to levels 1, 3, and 5, with the other 2 being either a tonic or a new passive. The amount of score you get for a photo is based on the quality of the photo. Dead enemies give you very little score when photographed, and can only be photographed once. There are several ways to increase the quality of a photo. Being closer to the target, having the target hostile towards you, having multiple enemies in the frame, and having the enemy being more towards the center of the frame all increase the quality score of your photo. You can take photos of the same enemy, but every time you do, the quality score of the photo is halved. I would recommend taking as many photos of an enemy as the game lets you by spamming the fire key, as researching enemy greatly helps in all stages of the game and nets some of the best passive and tonics in the entire game. Taking a photo of the locked away Spider Splicer grants me my next achievement, Research the Splicer. This research gives me my first level in their research. Going back to the way I came from, the way explodes, and I get a picture of a leadhead splicer, granting me extra damage towards them. This is immediately followed by my first level in security camera research. Jack also finds a new plasmid here, Security Bullseye. This one can be used on enemies to have any machines go and attack them. Not overly useful, but it does have its uses. Jumping down to this area, the path back to the fisheries is locked until I take photos of 2 different spider splicers. In the tunnel to the 2 areas the spider splicers are, I take a bunch more photos, and one of the highest grade, an A, which grants me another achievement, Quality Research Photo. I get the second level of research for leadhead splicers, granting me a physical tonic, Scrounger, which lets you search empty containers again for additional loot, though I never really got anything from this. I also get the first research level for security bots. Entering the Jet Postal, I buy a bunch of film at the Circus of Value before taking even more photos, getting the 3rd level for leadhead splicers. Inside the Jet Postal, I find a spider splicer, take a photo, and quickly kill it. I also used a security alarm shutdown mechanism that you just pay with money to turn off the alarm if you manage to set one off. I leave Jet Postal and enter the Fighting McDonough's Tavern, where the Spider Splicer is just there at the entrance, so I take a photo of him immediately. This grants me the 2nd level of their research, which lets me take their hearts as first aid kits. Now technically I can leave this area, but I want to explore a bit more to find items as well as take more photos. Inside, I get the 4th level of research for leadhead splicers, which gives me a new combat tonic, Static Discharge 2. This tonic creates a shockwave that electrifies enemies if you're hit with a melee attack. I also get the 1st and 2nd level of research for nitro splicers here. The 2nd level gives a passive that gives a 15% chance for any grenade thrown by an enemy to be a dud. Going into the basement of the tavern, I get the 2nd level of research for security cameras, which gives twice as much film when a camera is destroyed, which would be useful if I didn't hack every single camera I could. Inside the basement, I also find a secret hidden room that had a turret, and I get the 1st level of research for them. Before leaving the tavern, I notice a little sister and Big Daddy, so I take pictures of both. I get the 1st level of the little sister research, which each level gives a small bonus to max health and Eve. I also get the 1st level to the Rosie variant of Big Daddies. I also decided to kill the Rosie here. Rosies are different from the bouncers as they mainly focus on range instead of melee, though getting too close to them does allow them to whack you just like the bouncer. They carry a rivet gun, which deals big damage towards you, and can sometimes throw a proximity mine at you, which can be telekinesis back at them for damage. I start off by unloading my electric pucks at them, then followed up with several frag grenades. The Rosie goes down without much of a fight, and I rescue another little sister. For every 3 little sisters you rescue, Tenenbaum sends one to deliver a gift at the Gatherer's Garden, so with everything finished up here, I begin to head back. Along the way, a leadhead splicer is setting up a turret, and I get the final level of research for leadhead splicers, getting me another achievement, fully researched a leadhead splicer. Finally, entering the upper wharf, I find another little sister and Rosie, taking more photos. I get the second level of research for Rosie's, which grants me a new combat tonic, Photographer's Eye 2, which greatly increases the overall score from photos. I also get the second level in research for Security Boss, which grants me a new engineering tonic, Security Expert 2, which greatly reduces the difficulty when hacking. In addition, I get the second and third level of research for turrets, which gives me extra ammunition on destroyed turrets. Finally, I made it back to the entrance of the fisheries, and I got the present the little sister left behind. Inside, there was 200 atoms, some armor-piercing pistol rounds, and a new plasmid, Hypnotize Big Daddy. If you hit a passive Big Daddy with it, it forces it to join your side, allowing it to aid you in combat. I spend my atom on a new plasmid slot and upgrade my health. This gets me my next achievement, Bought 1 slot. Before I go closer to the fisheries, I find a new combat tonic, Wrench Lurker. This tonic deals extra damage to unaware enemies while also making your footsteps softer, allowing for an easier time sneaking up on enemies. A spider splicer jumps me here, and I take a bunch of photos of it, getting me to their third research level. While fighting it, a nitro splicer rudely showed up, and I get the third level in their research level too. This spider splicer had a lot more health than the other two, but thanks to the research, it went down relatively easily. Before going into the fisheries, I do some backtracking and get the fourth level of research for nitro splicers, upgrading the previous passive to a 35% chance for enemy explosives to be a dud. I also get the next level of research for little sisters, and decide to take out another Big Daddy here. This time I mainly use some armor-piercing rounds from the machine gun, and the Rosie goes down really easily. Of course, I saved this little sister as well. After that, I searched for the final little sister of the level. Along the way, I got the final research level for Nitro Splicers, getting me my next achievement, fully researched a Nitro Splicer. I find the final Big Daddy and little sister and immediately open fire, using my frag grenades and electric bucks to topple it. I then save the little sister before heading back to the medical pavilion, as I can now research the thuggish splicers and bouncers there, but mainly because there was a room blocked with ice that I found after I was forced to switch my incinerate with telekinesis. Immediately upon entering, I get the first level of research for Bouncer Big Daddies. Entering the room I was talking about earlier, I get the first, second, and third level of research for thuggish splicers from literally 2 splicers. This gets me one of my favorite physical tonics of the game, Sport Boost, which increases the speed you can swing your wrench at and also increases your movement speed. Deeper in this room, I find a new or old engineering tonic, Security Expert, which I already have the upgraded version of. However, tonics do stack, so you could equip both for an even easier hacks, but I didn't mind the hacking level so far and prefer the slower flow rate. Exiting that place, I find another thuggish splicer and get the 4th level of research, getting me an upgraded form of Sport Boost 2. Since tonic stack, having both of these equipped makes you much faster and also able to swing the wrench much faster too. After all that, Jack heads back to Peach Wilkins, who opens the door for him. Before being able to progress into the fisheries, Wilkins wants Jack to relinquish all of his weapons, excluding the camera, wrench, and plasmids. Before entering, I get another engineering tonic, Focused Hacker, which puts 2 less overload tiles on the board. Similar to Steinman, Wilkins incites violence, so I return that kindness by hacking a security camera, then whacking him until he sleeps with the fishes with my newly upgraded wrench. This kill nets me my next achievement, Defeated Peach Wilkins. I then promptly die to a turret, my first death of the run. This game is an interesting system for death. While you can save and reload, you don't have to reload an earlier save when you die, as littered about Rapture are Vita chambers, which revive you upon death. So after I leave the Vita chamber, I take my revenge on the turret, hacking it so it loves me, and cleaning up the area of any remaining enemies. Going downstairs, I find a Numa with all my weapons, before finding the first power to the People machine. This machine lets you choose an upgrade for one weapon of your choosing, so I chose to upgrade my machine gun's damage. Oh, I moved the mouse 5 pixels upwards at the last second and upgraded my pistol damage instead. It's fine, I mainly use my wrench anyways. Nonetheless, I get a new achievement here, upgraded a weapon. Atlas told me earlier to find a secret entrance to the smuggler's hideout, which I found to the right of the upgrade machine, so I entered the smuggler's hideout, which is a pretty straightforward path, and along the way get the 4th level of research for turrets, which gives a passive that automatically succeeds hacking them, which is amazing and greatly appreciated. I make it to the control room and flip the lever to release Atlas's family, but Ryan summoned forth a horde of splicers, one I had to cut through to get to the submersible. Along the way, I got the 4th research level of spider splicers, which gives a physical tonic, Extra Nutrition 3, which gives more health and E from snacks and bandages. Unfortunately, once I reach the bathysphere, Ryan detonates it, surely killing anyone who is inside it. Atlas, obviously distraught, urges Jack to get to the smuggler's hideout and into Arcadia, easily achievable through the nearby bulkhead.
We'll find the bastard. We'll find him, and we'll tear his heart out.
Jack enters Arcadia after breaking this lock, and may I just say, this place is gorgeous. I mean, I take a walk here. Atlas tells Jack to head to Rolling Hills, which has a Rapture metro that'll take him to Ryan. Along the way, a new splicer is introduced, the Houdini Splicer. This splicer is able to vanish and reappear at a different location, basically able to teleport. Their main weapon of choice is fireballs. They can easily be stunned and killed with electrobolt. I took a few pictures of them, getting the first research level of them and a new achievement, Prolific Photographer, for taking at least one photo of every research group. Entering this room, I find a new environmental hazard, an electric trap. Walking over the wire shocks you and deals a lot more damage, but also deals a lot of damage to enemies. There's several ways to take them out. One of the most consistent, though costly, is using Electrobolt or Incinerate on the arrow part of the trap to remove them. You can use telekinesis, but I more often than not accidentally hurt myself with the trap from doing this. You can also shoot the trap down with the pistol. The most consistent way I got this was by shooting the fletching of the arrow. Continuing to Rolling Hills, I managed to get the second research level for Houdini Splicers, getting a new physical tonic, Natural Camouflage. This turns you invisible if you stay still for a few seconds. This is great if the camera sees you, as you can just stay still, become invisible, and the camera will stop detecting you. Though if you do set off an alarm, which I sometimes intentionally do, you can hack 2 of the security bots, then turn invisible and wait out the alarm, as the security bots won't target the hostile ones and the hostile ones won't target you since you're invisible. Eventually I stumble upon a Gatherer's Garden, but also a Rosie, Big Daddy, and a Little Sister. After taking a bunch of photos, I get the next research level for Little Sisters and the third research level for Rosies. I decided to spend some Atom on upgrades, getting a new physical tonic slot, which I put Scrounger on there for now, and a new combat tonic slot, which I put Wrenchlicker on for the time being. I also upgraded my max health here. I entered a room with some pretty looking roses and was trying to take out these traps methodically, but began to get bombarded with turrets, so I went to hack them and got caught by a camera and had to deal with an army of security bots. At least I got the third research level security bots here. At the very bottom, I find a new type of turret, a flamethrower, though this one is rarely used. It just shoots flames at you, but it has really limited range. I get back on track and continue heading to Rolling Hills, getting the third research level for security cameras along the way. But I accidentally set off an alarm and got the 4th level of research for security bots during it. This grants a new passive for all hacking attempts on security bots to automatically succeed. Jack finally makes it to the metro entrance, which is immediately closed as Ryan begins pumping some gas that kills all the trees in the area, which is bad as all the oxygen from Rapture comes from Arcadia. Atlas told Jack to find someone named Julie Langford, as she runs Arcadia. Jack is already standing right in front of her lab's entrance, so she tells him to get a Rose of Galaga, which is those pretty roses I mentioned earlier. So I begin to head back to that room. Along the way, I get the final research level for Thuggish Splicers, getting me my next achievement, fully researched a Thuggish Splicer. I also get the third research level for Houdini Splicers. I encountered a Rosie and felt confident enough to bring it down, so I unload my electric bucks on it before finishing it off with some armor-piercing pistol rounds. I can't say I did all the work, as a hacked RPG turret did assist in the kill too. I save this Little Sister too, and Tinbomb says there's another gift waiting for me. Heading back to the garden, I find a new physical tonic, Security Evasion, which makes security cameras take longer to see me. Making it to the garden, I get 200 more Atom and a new engineering tonic, Safecracker, which makes saves easier to hack. I also get some more electric bucks. Using my newly acquired Atom, I upgrade my Electrobolt to Electrobolt 2, increasing its stun duration. I upgrade my Max Eve and buy a new Combat Tonic slot, which I put Static Discharge 2 on for the time being. I got lost trying to find the room again, but did manage to get the 4th research level for Houdini Splicers, which gives a passive that makes them reappearing easier to detect. I also found another Little Sister and Rosie, getting the next level for Little Sister Research. I finally found my way back to the room and grabbed the rose. Now I'd like to talk about one of my favorite methods for killing a Big Daddy. Using telekinesis, grab a propane tank and bring it close to the Big Daddy you want dead. Then unload your grenade launcher's proximity mines onto it. The launcher can only hold 6 at a time, and the method works better if you use about 12, since proximity mines stick to things that are permanently attached to the propane tank. By using telekinesis once more, launch the tank at the Big Daddy and watch his health get depleted. Or you could screw up making the device and launch a heat-seeking RPG instead. Honestly, just go with what feels right. Even though I did manage to screw up the method, it wasn't difficult to kill the Rosie, as I just launched several heat-seeking RPGs and frag grenades, saving another Little Sister. I quickly purchased a new physical tonic at the Gatherer's Garden, Eve Saver, which makes plasmids cost less Eve to use. I also bought an engineering tonic slot, which I put Security Expert on, and a physical tonic slot for Eve Saver. I go over to a new machine, UInvent, to craft some items. Once you enter Arcadia, crafting items begin to appear in loot containers, but you can't do much with them without the UInvent station. At the station, you can craft special ammo and useful tools like the automatic hack tools. UInvents can also be hacked for cheaper crafting. I craft an automatic hack tool and get my next achievement, Basic Inventor. I also get the next level of research for Rosies, which gives the passive of their bodies looting more crafting materials for the UInvent stations. Jack finally returns to Langford, and sends the Rose to the Pneumo. She invites him in, and I immediately find a new engineering tonic, Hacking Expert, which makes hacking minigames have 1 fewer alarm and overload tiles. Jack greets Langford, but Ryan uses what I assume is the same gas he used on the trees to kill her. She writes a code on the window before the door opens. Entering the lab, Jack gets a new weapon, the Chemical Thrower. This also has 3 types of ammunition. Its standard napalm lets the weapon act like a flamethrower, the rare liquid nitrogen, which freezes enemies similar to a plasmid I haven't bought yet called Winter Blast, and the special ammo is electric gel, which acts like an Eve-free version of Electrobolt. Jack finds a safe behind a painting, and using the code she wrote, gets access to the contents, which had an audio diary talking about how to make a Lazarus vector. This gives Jack a new task to find some distilled water, chlorophore solutions, and B enzymes, which Atlas points him in the direction of Arcadia's farmer's market for some of these items. So that's where I begin to head, and along the way I find another weapon upgrade machine. This time I actually upgrade my machine gun's damage before heading forward into a bulkhead to Arcadia's farmer's market. Entering the market, I get the 4th research level for security cameras, which gives the passive... Okay, why is this one not automatically succeeding in hacking them? It's literally the only machine that doesn't have that as a research reward, and even the reward it does give is so minute in benefit since you get speedy hackers so early in the game. I guess I shouldn't complain, I would much rather have automatic success hacking turrets and bots rather than cameras, it's just weird that the camera doesn't get a passive as well. Rather soon, I get my next achievement after using an auto hack to the safe, Skilled Hacker, for successfully hacking 50 items. I soon encountered a Rosie and actually got to perform the method this time. It lived, but only needed literally 1 bullet to kill. This lets me save the final little sister of this section. After some aimless exploration, I find a new physical tonic laying on the ground, Eve Link 2, which grants some additional Eve when using a health kit. I soon found myself in the market's apiary where the bees decided I was their next flower to pollinate. I bought a new plasmid at the Gatherer's Garden here, Insect Swarm, which summons a horde of bees at enemies, dealing constant damage and also stunning them slightly. Heading inside the apiary, I turn on some smokers so the bees don't attack me before running around like a mad goblin to collect enzyme samples from their hives. The smokers only last for a bit, and towards the end of the timer, a few splicers show up to attack, but they're not hard to deal with. It takes me a few trips, but I managed to collect 7 enzyme samples from the beehives. I then head over to the next door winery to collect some distilled water within. Heading down into the cellar, I find a weapon upgrade station and upgrade my shotgun's damage. I found a little shack which houses 2 distilled water, but also the unupgraded version of the combat tonic photographer's eye. I soon found the last distilled water I needed and began the trek back to Langford's lab. On my way out of the cellar, I get the final research level for security bots. What? No achievement for fully researching them? Alright. As Jack returns to Arcadia, Ryan sounds an alarm, and I take the opportunity to get some security bots on my side. Quickly, Jack finds himself back at Langford's lab, and by using the nearby U-Invent station, he creates a new Lazarus vector, which he places into the mister, and it begins to prime. Ryan doesn't like this, so he sends a horde of splicers to kill Jack as the vector primes. This begins a kind of wave fighting segment, though nothing of it is really interesting to talk about. I previously hacked all the machines inside the lab, so they fought for me, and at the start, I locked the door to the lab, but the splicers torched a way in. The most interesting part about this segment was when I accidentally aggroed the Big Daddy in the lab, having to fight it alongside all the enemies, but after about 3 waves of enemies, the vector is primed. Jack activates it, and the trees immediately regrow, saving the oxygen production of Rapture and getting me my next achievement, Restored the Forest. Now the Rapture Metro is open, Jack heads down to Fort Frolic as it's the easiest way to where Ryan is. Upon trying to get to the bathysphere, it closes shut and leaves, as the radio signal gets jammed. Soon, a new voice on the radio begins to speak, Sander Cohen, the guy who runs Fort Frolic. He first tasks Jack with showing him his skills by having him defeat a bunch of spider splicers. They go down pretty easily, and Cohen is impressed, opening the way to Fort Frolic. Jack begins to head to the fleet hall and... Is that a slot machine? Oh yeah, gambling time, spin to win, let's go, oh dang it, oh dang it, oh dang it, oh dang it. Well, it's better than nothing, but it isn't the grand prize I need for an achievement. Unfortunately, I accidentally ran out of money doing this, so I guess I should probably continue the story, only to give myself more fuel for the slot machines. After my little gambling session, I do some exploration and finish off the research for spider splicers, getting me another achievement, fully researched a spider splicer. I eventually found this liquor shop at the back end of the area. I checked the U-Invent station and noticed I can now craft 3 tonics here, with the one that caught my eye being Bloodlust, which would grant me a small amount of Eve and health when I hit an enemy with a wrench. At the bottom of the liquor shop was a weapon upgrade station, and I upgraded my grenade launcher's damage. Jack finally enters the lobby of Fleet Hall, and this is where I max out the research for security cameras, getting, oh? Still no achievement? Guess machines don't have research achievements. With the lobby, I find an elevator which takes me up to the actual theater, where one of Sander Cohen's disciples is playing the piano. Cohen is unimpressed by his performance, so he blows up the piano, then asks Jack to photograph Fitzpatrick's body, which I promptly do. No research score though. Lame. Exploring the theater before leaving, I noticed an engineering tonic up on one of the balconies. The door to get to it was locked, and I needed to jump from one balcony to another, to which Cohen has this to say.
What an outstanding display of athleticism.
The tonic in question was Alarm Expert, which gave 2 fewer alarm tiles while hacking. Jack heads back to the main atrium where Cohen's masterpiece, his quad tick, is shown. Jack places the picture he took of Fitzpatrick in one of the slots, and is tasked with capturing 3 other ex-disciples of Cohen, found in Poseidon Plaza section of Fort Frolic. For placing the picture of Fitzpatrick, Cohen rewards Jack with the final weapon of the game, the crossbow. It has standard steel bolts, rare incendiary bolts that deal extra fire damage, and special trap bolts that create electric arrow traps seen back in Arcadia. The steel bolts have a chance to break upon impact, but if they don't, they can be retrieved, giving the source of reusable ranged ammo. Jack heads his way into Poseidon Plaza and immediately is met by one of Cohen's ex-disciples, Finnegan. He freezes Jack and poses him, but Jack easily thaws, and as he walks out, Finnegan bursts out from one of the sculptures beginning to attack. He acts like an ice variant of the Houdini splicers. Other than that, he doesn't last long. He had a combat tonic on him, Frozen Field, which lets you take less cold damage and lets you freeze enemies with your wrench. I don't equip this as frozen enemies shatter upon death, not leaving you any loot. Before leaving, I quickly take the picture before heading out into the Poseidon Plaza. I first head to the back of the area and enter a shop called Sinclair Spirits. And here, I found a button that opened a secret passageway to the basement where another weapon upgrade station was. This time I upgrade my grenade launcher to give myself immunity to its explosions, which gets me my next achievement, one fully upgraded weapon. Exiting the basement, a splicer covered in plaster jumps me but quickly gets shut down. Exiting the actual shop, I notice a little sister and Bouncer Big Daddy, and here I get the second research hole for bouncers, getting me a new combat tonic, Wrench Jockey 2, which greatly increases the damage from the wrench. I take out this Big Daddy with a mix of frag grenades and armor-piercing machine gun rounds. I rescue— hey, the text is fixed! I rescued the little sister, and Tenenbaum says there's another gift waiting for me at the Gatherer's Garden. I then used a U-invent to craft the Bloodlust tonic, then found another bouncer and little sister, getting the bouncer's research level to 3. I then killed the bouncer using some pistol armor-piercing rounds, electric, and explosive bucks, saving the little sister as well. I get down this totally innocent and not trapped staircase, which leads me to a physical tonic, Extra Nutrition 2. Before leaving, several plastic slicers surprise me. As I said, totally not a trap, but at least they go down easily. I then head up into Rapture Records, jumping down into this display where a timer goes off and a bomb explodes. Thankfully, I heard the timer and moved out of the way. This is when one of Cohen's ex-disciples shows up and sicks several spider splicers on me, but first I head back up to the upper floor through a vent. After taking out all the spider splicers, Cobb opens the door and fights me. He's an upgraded nitro splicer, but that doesn't save him from my double wrench jockey wrench. Once he's down, I take his photo. Before finding the last ex-disciple, I take care of the final Big Daddy. I used an improvised version of the method, attaching the mines to any large objects instead of a propane tank. This deals less damage, but it still almost one-shot the Big Daddy, allowing me to easily rescue another little sister. Eventually, I headed into Eve's garden, where the final disciple was getting drunk at the bar. He too is a nitro splicer, and also gets taken down really easily. I got his photo, one I like to call a nova of potential. Jack had all the photos Cohen wanted, so he began to head back to the Quatic. I first stop at the Gatherer's Garden, where within the present I get 200 Atom, Hypnotize Big Daddy 2, and some health kits. At the garden, I buy health and Eve upgrades, a plasma slot for Insect Swarm, upgrade Insect Swarm to Insect Orb 2, and a physical tonic slot for natural camouflage. Finally reaching the Quatic, I placed a photo and was rewarded with various gifts. Upon placing the next one, Cohen gets a little insane and summons a waltz of splicers, though they go down very easily. Eventually, Cohen calms down and rewards me with even more gifts. I place the last photo and get my next achievement, completed Cohen's masterpiece. Cohen makes his big debut. Now, a sane man would kill him right here and now, but a smart man would spare him just in case. The smart option was correct as he opens up a display case, giving me a new physical tonic, Medical Expert 2, which lets health kits heal for more HP. He tells Jack that his way to Ryan is unblocked, and even unjammed the radio signal. Atlas asks Jack to go to Hephaestus, and that's where I begin to head— actually, I lied, it's gambling time, oh yeah, let's go, spin to win, yeah, woo! After winning the jackpot, I get 2 big rewards, $250 extra in my wallet, and the next achievement, Lucky Winner. After all my success in Fort Frolic, I head to the bathysphere to make my way to Hephaestus.
Ryan's got the genetic key to Rapture. We get that from him, and we get out of this hellhole.
Entering Hephaestus, Atlas asks Jack,
Now would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch?
so that's what Jack has to do. Eventually he reaches Ryan's trophy room, where he displays the people that tried to kill him. On one of the bodies, there's an audio tape that points Jack in the direction of heat loss monitoring. While listening to that audio clip, I find the upgraded version of Frozen Field in this side room. Walking back out to the main room, I notice some splicers torching their way in, and this gives me a path to the Hephaestus core. After dealing with the splicers, I head down to the core room. Once reaching the core, I get the 4th research level for bouncers, granting me a passive that increases my reach damage by 50%. I also finish off the research for Little Sisters, granting me my next achievement, fully researched a Little Sister. I take down this Big Daddy with some of the chemical throwers electric gel and pistol armor piercing rounds, saving the Little Sister. Tenenbaum thanks Jack for his continued mercy and says there's a gift at the Gatherer's Garden. I soon find this gift and has 200 atoms, some Eve Hyvos, and some proximity mines. To the opposite side of the Gatherer's Garden, there's a weapon upgrade station, and I upgrade my pistol clip size, getting me another achievement, 2 fully upgraded weapons. At the garden, I upgrade my health and Eve and upgrade my electric bolt to the 3rd level, which makes the stun last even longer. I enter heat loss monitoring, where some splicers try to take me by surprise by playing dead, but my wrench is insanely powerful now, so it doesn't take much for them to go down. I then used the method on another bouncer, and missed, so had to fight him at full health. Using some exploding bucks and napalm, this bouncer goes down easily, saving another little sister. Deeper inside heat loss monitoring, I find an upgraded form of the security evasion tonic. Next to it, I find an audio log that talks about a workshop somewhere else in Hephaestus, and that's where Jack heads to next. On the way, Ryan comments about how much of a miracle it is that the plane crashed right where his city was. Making it to the workshop area in Hephaestus, I max out the research on Bouncer Big Daddies, getting another achievement, fully researched a bouncer. I then take care of this Big Daddy with 6 frag grenades, saving the final little sister of this level. Exploring the workshop, I find a U-invent and quickly craft one of each ammo type for another achievement, Ammo Inventor, for crafting one of each different ammo type. Within the depths of the workshop, Jack finds a crawl space which leads to an area where a device was being made that would shut down the core, unlocking the way to Ryan's office. However, it's incomplete and needs various items found throughout Hephaestus to get it operational. There's also a new combat tonic here, Damage Research, which increases the damage bonus you get from research levels. By looting the dead Big Daddies, I can find wire clusters, which I need 4 of. Good thing I've already taken care of all the Big Daddies on this level. Inside the workshop, I hack this keypad door which opens up to an office full of tripwires. By taking them out, I head to the back where this weapon upgrade station lies. I upgrade my chemical thrower's consumption rate before pushing this button to open up a case that lets me grab the nitroglycerin I need for the device. Going back up to the core, I grab another wire cluster and a can of ionic gel. I soon find another cluster and more ionic gel, just leaving one wire cluster left. I stop by the garden and buy an additional combat tonic slot, which I put damage research on. I also bought a new engineering tonic called Vending Expert 2, and this greatly reduces prices with vending machines, though I didn't have enough space to equip it as I like my current engineering tonics. I soon backtrack to heat loss monitoring to grab another wire cluster, then head back to the crawl space to complete the device. Once the device is complete, Jack heads to geothermal control, but the way down is flooded. Atlas tells him he can turn this valve to let magma pour over the water to boil it. Once I begin to turn the valve, splicers begin to flood in, but the 2 turrets in this room helped fend them off long enough for me to fully turn the valve, boiling the water and letting me take an elevator down to access the core. At the bottom, I find an upgraded form of the shortened alarm tonic. Opening the doors and taking a lift allows Jack to place the device on the core, and once it activates, the core begins to shut down. With the core down, I begin to rush back to Ryan's office to flip the circuit breaker to gain access. After I flip the switch, a bulkhead to the control center opens up, where Ryan begins a self-destruction sequence on the core as a last resort. Heading on up, I find a vent which takes me to a conspiracy board. Okay, a lot of big plot details happen here in this room. Basically, Jack, the protagonist, was actually born in Rapture. He's the illegitimate child of Ryan and Jasmine Jolene, who was sold to Tenenbaum as an embryo because Fontaine, a person who constantly pitted against Ryan, wanted a backup plan if things went south in the Rapture Civil War. Jack was grown and raised under Dr. Silksong, who helped create plasmids and the likes, and basically brainwashed Jack to follow any command if it was prefaced with a simple phrase, "Would you kindly?" Jack enters Ryan's office, who goes onto a whole spiel which boils down to Jack having no free will as he's a slave to the phrase. I'm not sure what Ryan's plan was here as he uses the phrase to have Jack kill him. I guess he expected Jack to go against his coded nature or just accepted his death. I don't know. I feel like there was a better way to handle this. With Ryan dead, Jack grabs his genetic key, granting me another achievement, defeated Andrew Ryan. With the key, Jack uses it and stops the core's explosion, but also begins a transfer of the city's ownership over to Atlas, who finally gets rid of the ruse and reveals himself to be Fontaine. With no more use for Jack, Fontaine sticks some security bots on him, and again, I feel like there's a better way to handle killing the powerhouse that is Jack. However, all that kindness and saving the little sisters pays off, as they help Jack escape through a vent, and Jack falls in the Tenenbaum Sanctuary.
Welcome back, child. Welcome to the city where you were born.
Tenenbaum welcomes Jack back to the city where he was born, and states that she owed him a debt, so undid some of Fontaine's mental conditioning while he was asleep. He doesn't have full control over Jack anymore, but he can still pull a few strings. She tells him to find answers on how to completely uncondition his brain by looking in Souchong's flat in the Mercury Suites. A little sister leads Jack to the exit of the sanctuary, and soon he finds a valve that can be used to enter Olympus Heights. This is where Fontaine learns he can't control Jack anymore with the "Would you kindly?" Fontaine goes into code yellow, which begins to lower Jack's maximum health. Upon entering the city square, I get the final research level for the Rosie Big Daddy, getting me another achievement, fully researched a Rosie. I then take out that Rosie by starting off with the proximity mine method, then some armor-piercing machine gun rounds, finished off with the electric bucks. I saved the little sister before moving on, to which Tenenbaum gave another gift. I was already at the Gatherer's Garden, so I received the gift rather quickly, and this one contained 200 Atom, a new physical tonic, Armored Shell, which reduces all physical damage, and some incendiary bolts too. I equip Armored Shell 2 before buying another physical tonic slot, putting on Medical Expert 2, and this gets me another achievement, maxed out 1 track, for obtaining all the slots in a single tonic or plasmid track. I also buy a combat tonic slot, which I put Photographer's Eye on, which I immediately switch out when I buy Armored Shell. I finished off the shopping trip by buying a health upgrade. I soon found myself at Mercury Suites, and at the base of the staircase I found another weapon upgrade station, which I used to upgrade my shotgun's rate of fire, getting me another achievement, 3 fully upgraded weapons. I then head into Sander Cohen's apartment, which he welcomes me in so long as I don't disrupt his dancers. I tried not disturbing them, but either me or one of my security bots that was following me knocked something over, so the dancers began to attack. They fall easily, and Cohen's dude comes down from his room to teach me a lesson. Upon entering his room, I get the next achievement, found Cohen's room. Cohen is a Houdini splicer, but goes down just as easily. Once he's dead, I take a photo of him and get another achievement, irony. Inside his room, there's another weapon upgrade station, and I upgrade my machine gun to have reduced knockback. This gets me another achievement, 4 fully upgraded weapons. I then find Silksong's home and begin to attack another Big Daddy. I start off with napalm, then liquid nitrogen to freeze him so I can whack him with my wrench before finishing him off with armor-piercing machine gun rounds. I save the little sister before exploring Silksong's home. Within his home, I find an audio log describing a way to reverse the effects of the mental conditioning, a serum called Lot 192. Next to the audio log, I find an engineering tonic called Clever Inventor, which lets all you invent craftables cost 1 less of each ingredient. Tinderbomb says that she stole Lot 192 from Silksong a while ago and hid it in her apartment, as she was unsure as what it was for, so I begin to search for her apartment. Along the way to finding her apartment, I find an audio log that gives the code to the elevator to Fontaine's penthouse. I soon found her apartment, but it was torn apart by Fontaine's splicers, and the Lot 192 was gone, but this does point the direction of the lot being in Fontaine's penthouse. I head down to the elevator, input the code, and head up to his penthouse. Entering the penthouse, I find a library that has a new physical tonic, Electric Flesh 2. This lets you take less damage from electricity and deal more damage with electricity. Near the tonic, Jack finds the Lot 192, and taking it does restore his health back to its correct max, but now he randomly switches between plasmids, even ones he doesn't have owned. Tenenbaum says he needs a larger dosage of Lot 192, and says that Silksong's lab in Artemis Suites might have one, so that's where Jack begins to head. I found a bulkhead that takes me to Apollo Square, where Artemis Suites is located. Upon entering, I find one Rosie and kill it with a mix of my plasmids and weapons. I saved the little sister. I saved the little sister before continuing forward. While exploring, I found Fontaine's home for the poor, and at the top, I found an upgraded form of the focused hacker tonic, removing 2 more overload tiles while hacking. I soon find the right way to Artemis Square and find a U-Invent station inside one of the buildings, where I make the upgraded version of Hacker's Delight and Booze Hound, a physical tonic that grants a small amount of Eve when drinking alcohol, where it previously drained Eve instead. Being in Artemis Square, I find Silksong's clinic and within it the additional dose of Lot 192, fully curing Jack of his mental conditioning and giving him free will. I get another achievement, Broke Fontaine's mind control. With Jack's new free will, his first course of action is beating a Big Daddy to save another little sister. I killed this Rosie with only frag grenades and saved the final little sister of this level, to which Tenenbaum rewards me another gift. This gift contains 200 Atom, a new engineering tonic Prolific Inventor, which makes all craftables craft twice as much, and some liquid nitrogen. At the garden, I buy an engineering tonic slot for Clever Inventor. I also buy Enrage, which I just don't equip, and a new plasmid slot, where I equip Hypnotize Big Daddy too. I then head to the bathysphere to go to Point Prometheus. When I reach the bathysphere, I actually go back to Fort Frolic as there was some cleanup I wanted to do. Cohen's corpse had the key to his music box, but it sadly didn't have anything too interesting inside it. So I go to Arcadia where I get the final research level for Houdini Splicers, getting another achievement, fully research a Houdini Splicer. Though I still didn't get the achievement for everything researched, then it hit me. I didn't fully research the turrets. With that knowledge in my brain, I made it my mission to photograph every turret I see in Point Prometheus until I get their final research level, as you can't photograph friendly hacked machines. So I head to the bathysphere, this time going to Point Prometheus.
Alright, you looking to slug it out? I'm game.
Upon arriving in Point Prometheus, Fontaine immediately sets fire near the bathysphere. He keeps blocking Jack's path until he eventually breaks the controls of the door to get to him. I find a suit controller on this Rosie's body and a weapon upgrade station nearby where I upgrade my chemical thrower's range, getting another achievement, 5 fully upgraded weapons. Tinderbomb says she has a plan to get through the door, and it's turning Jack into a Big Daddy, or at least turning him into one enough that a little sister would follow him. The first step he's already completed, getting a suit controller, and Tinderbomb tasked him with finding additional items, the suit, a voice modulator, and pheromones. I enter the library and find an upgraded version of the Damage Research Tonic. Next to it, I find the boots for the Big Daddy suit. I head to the Little Wondrous educational facility where the pheromones lie. 3 need to be found for the effect to work. I found one in this room on the first left when entering the left hallway. Going all the way to the back, I find another pheromone alongside it an upgraded form of the Safecracker Tonic. Before finding the last pheromone, I take out one of the Big Daddies for this level, using only frag grenades. I save the little sister before heading upstairs and finding the final pheromone I needed on a table to the left. There's actually additional pheromones scattered about the educational facility, but as stated previously, only 3 need to be found. I head out of the educational facility and head to Failsafe Armored Escorts, where I get the final research level for turrets and another achievement, Research PhD, for maxing out the research for every single researchable thing. I stop by the garden nearby and purchase the final plasmid slot, which I put in Rage on. I also buy another engineering tonic slot, which I put Prolific Inventor on, and buy a health and Eve upgrade. I enter armored escorts and find a Rosie and candidate inductions. Using the proximity mine method, I get it down to half health before using exploding blocks to finish it off, and rescue the following little sister. Entering further into the area, I find the bodysuit of a Big Daddy, which gives 25% resistance to all damage. I couldn't find the helmet, so I headed out of the armored escorts and headed into optimized genetics. Upon entering, I immediately kill a Big Daddy with heat-seeking RPGs, and rescue the final little sister of the game, granting me another achievement, dealt with every little sister. Tenenbaum is thankful and sends the final gift. I get through live subject testing and get to candidate inductions where I find the upgraded version of Alarm Expert, and this gets me the next achievement, Tonic Collector, for finding or crafting 53 tonics. Next to it is a machine used to modify Jack's lyrics to sound like a Big Daddy. All that's needed to fully transform now is the helmet. Still in optimized genetics, I entered eugenic analysis and find another upgrade station, where I upgrade my crossbow's breakage chance. I head back to the Gatherer's Garden where I get the final gift, 200 Atom, 100 anti-personnel machine gun rounds, and 4 health kits. Using the Atom, I buy Medical Expert 3. Heading back into Armored Escorts, I go into a different part of candidate inductions and find the helmet, becoming Big Daddy enough for little sisters to be summoned at their vents. I also get my next achievement here, Became a Big Daddy. Nearby, I find an upgraded form of the Hacker's Delight Tonic. I head back to the broken door and bang the nearby vent with my wrench, and a cured little sister pops out. She opens the door, and we both head to the Proving Grounds. In the Proving Grounds, the little sister needs to stop at 3 setup angels to harvest their Atom. After walking through, I find the first angel and hacked everything nearby. Once the little sister begins her harvest, a wave of splicers try to come and get her. With the help of the nearby machines, this isn't too difficult. This process pretty much gets repeated 2 other times, with each one having different machines to hack and a different layout of where the little sister would gather. After all 3 are taken care of, a surprise final Big Daddy makes an entrance, but he goes down rather easily with frag grenades, machine gun rounds, and exploding and electric bucks. The little sister opens one final door, and here she gives Jack her extraction needle to use against Fontaine. In this room, there is one of every machine, so I buy the final engineering tonic slot at the Gatherer's Garden and get another achievement, max out all tracks. I also buy the last health and Eve upgrades. I felt like I had good ammunition, so I didn't buy or craft any more ammo before heading up the elevator to confront Fontaine. Walking up to Fontaine, Jack sticks the extractor into him and makes him weaker. He begins to retaliate with fire attacks. Fontaine in this form is able to shoot fireballs and charge at you. I use mostly machine gun rounds to get him down, and he teleports back to his chair where Jack extracts more of his Atom. Now Fontaine is powered by ice. In this form, he is able to create a wall of ice in front of him, in addition to the charge from before. He also sounds an alarm to summon security bots, but also begins summoning splicers to his system. I get him down mostly with my shotgun bucks, and he teleports to his chair where Jack extracts even more of his Atom. Now Fontaine charges himself with electricity. In this form, he still summons splicers, but is now able to throw a ball of electricity as well as charge at you. I use my crossbow bolts, my shotgun bucks, some heat-seeking RPGs, and finish him off with my frag grenades. Fontaine returns to his chair, and Jack harvests the last of his Atom. However, Fontaine isn't dead and almost kills Jack, but the little sisters save him, stabbing several extractors into him and put him down for good. At the end, the little sisters offered Jack the city, but he refused, choosing instead to truly save the little sisters, bringing them to the surface. He gives them a chance to live their life, and at the end, 5 of the little sisters he adopted attends him at his deathbed, thus ending the story of Bioshock. At the end, I got some additional achievements, defeated Atlas and Little Sister Savior, for completing the game without harvesting a single little sister. With that, the first playthrough is complete. Before moving on to the next chapter, I'm going to do some cleanup for the first playthrough, just getting some additional achievements that are easier to get now instead of in the next playthrough. I mainly decided to get the rest of the audio diary logs, so I'll talk a bit about them now. The good thing about the logs is that the achievement for collecting every single one carries over to different save files, meaning if you collected all but 5 in one save, and the next save collecting the 5 you missed will reward the achievement. However, I decided to just go ahead and get the achievement now, as I wouldn't have to worry about collecting them on harder playthroughs, and I didn't want to have already collected audio logs confusing me while looking. I only had about 17 missing, which I think is pretty good considering there's 122 of these. Now, a majority of the audio logs I missed were in areas I just didn't visit or find, but mainly were in loot containers. Along the way, I found the final Power to the People machine, which is located at the top floor in Fontaine's Home for the Poor, and using it gets me an achievement, Weapon Specialist, for getting every upgrade on every weapon. The final audio log I missed, I'm rather disappointed I missed, as it was the one on Langford's body. She literally died right in front of me. How did I not pick this up? I came back into her lab 2 other times. How did I miss this audio log 3 whole times? With every audio log in the game collected, I get the next achievement, Historian. If you made it this far into the video, would you kindly consider liking and subscribing? Now, one would think going straight to the game's hardest difficulty and turning off Vita chambers would be a mistake, as one should gradually get used to the harder difficulty by gradually increasing the game's difficulty either in a playthrough or through several. But nah, I got this. I've played this game before. I've beaten this difficulty before. I got this. Getting out of Neptune's Bounty took 3.5 hours with several deaths and restarts, and that wasn't even 3 hours and a half of intense exploration. That was 3 hours and a half of just trying to get through the game as quickly as possible. Survivor is the hardest difficulty this game has to offer. It makes the enemies have more health and are more accurate and agile. I also think enemies deal more damage, plasmas cost more EVE, and base difficulty for hacking increases, though I couldn't find a reputable source for this information. That's just what it feels like in the game. I'm also going to be attempting this run with the Vita chambers disabled, which means if I die, I'm getting booted back to my last save. Thankfully, the game lets you save as often as you want and even gives you a quick save. The game started off the same until I reached the first combat encounter, where it became clear enemies had way more health than before. Where it used to take me 2 hits with the wrench to kill a Thugger Splicer, it now takes 12. Even after getting Electro Bolt and using the 1-2 punch, it still took several hits to kill one. Once I got access to the pistol, combat became slightly easier as I had a ranged option that did a bit more damage. Thankfully, reaching the medical pavilion wasn't terribly difficult. Security bots' damage doesn't change when they're hacked, meaning while I may not be able to deal a lot of damage to enemies, my security bots can. I mean, just one melted the slicer, so being able to upkeep 2 security bots throughout the playthrough would be greatly helpful. I soon gained access to the machine gun, and this is a huge upgrade. By using a controlled burst, I can minimize the recoil, and even better control when to stop firing to not waste bullets. I pretty much mainly used the machine gun for a while, as long as I had the ammo for it. Getting Incinerate also felt like a huge upgrade, as the fire damage felt like it was increased from the base difficulty, allowing for most splicers to die from just igniting them once. Picking up the shotgun was another huge upgrade. The damage you could dish out was great, and could almost one-shot most splicers if shot in the head. I made my way and got telekinesis, but this is where I made my fatal flaw. I was really liking Incinerate, so I swapped Electro Bolt with telekinesis. I made my way to Steinman and realized there was a security bot and turret I could no longer hack because I couldn't hit them with Electro Bolt. So I reloaded as I didn't have any health kits and my ammo was low from dealing with the machines, and my last save was all the way back a little after I got Incinerate. No matter, I continued, got telekinesis again, and replaced Incinerate this time. Now that I had Electro Bolt, I was able to hack both the turret and security bot, which assisted in the Steinman fight and allowed me to kill him. Going back, I rescued the first little sister. As I said earlier, only a monster harvests them. I spent the Atom on Armored Shell just to make me a bit more durable for the upcoming fights. Now it was time for the first Big Daddy. I jump up onto the counter to give myself better sights as I begin to attack him with my machine gun rounds. My security bots and turrets help out with the fight and the first Big Daddy goes down. Needless to say, it had far more health than previously, and taking out future Big Daddies would require careful planning, but I have a few new strategies I wanted to try out. As soon as I deactivate the emergency lockdown, I hightail it out of there to avoid the enemies that spawns. Trying to get to the fisheries, I died to something. I'm not even certain what happened here. This loaded me back to the start of Neptune's Bounty, but that was fine with me as I made virtually zero progress there. Trying again, I first bought the target dummy from the Gatherer's Garden. This plasmid lets you create a fake decoy that typically takes enemies' aggro away from you and places it onto the decoy. For now, it's just a surprise tool that I'll use later. Making it to the fisheries, the first spider splicer... yeah, that ain't happening. Thankfully, it goes away, it opens up more of the level, and gives me access to the grenade launcher for easier Big Daddy kills. I then decided to kill the first Big Daddy of this level. It beat me up, I died several times. I used a different strategy than normal as I didn't have any proximity mines, so instead I just used telekinesis to lob propane tanks at the Rosie. Once I threw all of them, I shot at it with a few frag grenades, and with the help of a hacked RPG turret, the Rosie was felled, allowing me to save another little sister and get that sweet 200 atom gift. With that gift, I buy a plethora of stuff at the garden, a plasma slot for Electro Bolt, health and EVE upgrades, and Sonic Boom, a plasmid that just blasts enemies with a gust of air, sending them flying and dealing some kinetic damage. When I reach the room with a bunch of turrets, I make sure to hack as many as I can. This will be important later. Soon I get the camera, and I won't describe every single time I get a new research level, so just know I'm taking just as many pictures as before, though in this playthrough I don't reach max research in all of them as I got to a point where it was too dangerous to take photos rather than just killing all the enemies. Heading forward, I get Security Bullseye. Keep this plasmid in mind, I learned something about it that I'll talk about soon. There's a skip you can do after getting the camera. The spider splicers you need to take pictures of are both at the start of each of their area, the jet postal and the tavern. If you have enough film, taking a photo before they crawl away counts for the quest. I didn't have enough film for the first one, so I had to go through the tavern, but I made sure I had more than enough for the second one, and I got to skip that. I traveled back to the lower wharf, and at this point, I did a bunch of research on the wrench, as I remembered it being really good for Survivor. Well, part of the reason it was so bad, I never got Wrench Jockey, so I headed back to the medical pavilion, grabbed Wrench Jockey, and also researched enough Thugger Splicers to get the first level of Sport Boost. The wrench wasn't a god weapon yet, but it was a bit more useful than before. I decided to knock out the other two Big Daddies with a new method that I learned. Security Bullseye doesn't actually aggro the enemy you throw at it, and while the Plasmid is still useless in terms of normal enemies, especially if you're someone who hacks every single turret they can find, there is a single use that raises usefulness by a lot. They don't aggro Big Daddies. Friendly turrets will only attack Big Daddies if they're attacking you, but if you hit them with Security Bullseye, the turrets will begin to attack the Big Daddy, and the Big Daddy will attack the turrets, but not you. Now, while the Big Daddies attacking the turrets isn't good, as they can very easily destroy them, Big Daddies have a fondness for attacking decoys. As long as the decoy is placed where the Big Daddy won't hit a turret by proxy, and since the only cooldown for decoys is how much EV you have left, as long as you replenish the decoy before it disappears, the Big Daddy will never be able to attack the turrets, and the turrets will pretty quickly kill the Big Daddy. This strategy works very well, especially if you use RPG turrets. However, the Big Daddy I killed destroyed the nearby RPG turret and didn't have a little sister following them. Remember that room from earlier, the one with a bunch of turrets? Well, it's possible to lure Big Daddies there. Granted, you do have to attack the Big Daddy to have it aggroed on you, but if you attack it, then hide behind a quarter, the Big Daddy will pathfind to you. Repeat this, and the Big Daddy can be in any room they can access. I chose the turret room for obvious reasons, and after one of the turrets decided to lock in and actually attack the Big Daddy, it went down and I rescued its little sister. I waited until another Big Daddy near the turret room spawned in and had a little sister before luring it over to the room. This time I brought Security Bullseye and Target Dummy so the turrets would actually fire on sight instead of doing nothing, and so the Rosie couldn't kill the turrets, and doing this, the Big Daddy went down and the little sister was saved. It was finally time to face Wilkins, and I started off by hacking everything I could before using my wrench with Electrobolt to kill him. With Wilkins dead, I upgraded my machine gun's damage and headed to Arcadia. Going through Arcadia, I died to the very first turret, mostly because I got greedy with my camera shots. On the second attempt, I get past the turret and even get Sport Boost 2 from research, so now the wrench was steadily getting better. I decided to take out a Rosie the good old-fashioned way, with a bunch of random weapons and their ammos. Thankfully, it went down on the first try, and because of the gift, I was able to purchase a lot of stuff at the garden. Also, fun fact, you can research the little sister Tenenbaum sends to place your gift. At the garden, I buy health and Eve upgrades, Eve Saver, and a physical tonic slot for Eve Saver. This RPG turret lets me show a good execution of the Security Bullseye killing method. Once he's down, I save the little sister before moving on. I also got natural camouflage from Houdini Splicer Research, so with this atom, I went back to the garden to buy another physical tonic slot for it. After I grabbed the Rosa Gallagher, I lost all my health and pretty much chilled at 1 HP for a while. This Root Splicer walked into me and exposed me for my camouflage, but thankfully he didn't hit me once, so I was able to deliver the Rose, where I bought a bunch of health kits. Heading to the Farmer's Market, I upgraded my shotgun's damage. In the Farmer's Market, I learned that the Security Bullseye method doesn't work well with security bots, but it did at least get the Rosie's HP down a bit so it was easier to kill with weapons. That's another little sister saved. Going to get the materials from the market, I buy Insect Swarm at the Apiary's Gatherer's Garden, and inside the distillery, I upgrade my grenade launcher's damage. Once the materials were collected, I prepped for the siege in the lab by equipping Hypnotized Big Daddy. The siege goes smoothly as I don't aggro the Big Daddy, and he helps me fight the Splicers. With the trees restored, it was time for Fort Frolic. Before leaving Arcadia, I equipped Wrench Lurker. I didn't know this on my first playthrough, but the Wrench Lurker's bonus damage is applied to enemies under the effects of Electrobolt, making the 1-2 punch far stronger. It can also trigger when enemies are being swarmed by bees, but this is only for a short time. I didn't know this in any of my playthroughs, but the Target Dummy's decoy can also make enemies unaware. In Fort Frolic, shooting Fitzpatrick causes the piano to blow up, skipping the scene and causing Cohen to be disappointed that it didn't last longer. In the Poseidon Plaza, I take a fight with the first bouncer, dying once, but on the second attempt, I lure it to the top and have some hack turrets help out. Unfortunately, I wasn't using the build to distract the bouncer from attacking the turrets, and they were both destroyed, but the bouncer does go down, allowing me to rescue another little sister, and get a gift from Tenenbaum. At the garden, I upgrade my health, my Eve, and Insect Swarm, and I also buy a physical tonic slot for Wrench Jockey too. After that, I take a picture of one of Cohen's ex-disciples before taking on another bouncer. This one got stuck in this spot here, which made for an extremely easy kill, though I'm not sure how he got stuck there. He could have easily passed himself out of there, but I'll take an easy kill. After killing him, I rescued Little Sister before taking care of the final ex-disciple. Like clockwork, I immediately fight another bouncer, bringing it down with several different weapons. It took a bit, and I even had to take a quick stop at a vending machine for more healing kits, but I managed to take him down, rescuing the final Little Sister of the level. I go and complete Cohen's quad-tick before heading out to Hephaestus, but before I go, I upgrade my crossbow's damage and get myself immunity to my grenade launcher's projectiles. Arriving in Hephaestus, I accidentally angered a bouncer and had to sneak to avoid him fighting me. Eventually, I snuck off and upgraded my machine gun's recoil and then went to heat loss where I properly fought one. This one went down pretty easily as the upgraded crossbow does good damage, and I was able to kill the bouncer only using it, so another little sister is saved, and I get another gift from Tenenbaum. Heading to the garden, I fought another bouncer, this time starting off with the classic strategy. It got his health down decently, so I had to finish him off with my own weapons. I actually got pretty good at dealing with bouncers, as I learned to use Electrobolt right after they shriek and before they charge, then getting as much distance as possible while firing at them. With that bouncer down, I saved the little sister and made it to the garden, where I upgraded my health and Eve, bought a physical tonic slot for Medical Expert 2, and a combat tonic slot for later. Continuing with the story, I upgraded my crossbow's breakage chance before going out to gather the materials for the device. Along the way, I kill a bouncer using the crossbow and rescued the final little sister of the level. After collecting all the materials, I finished the device before heading to the core. I actually prepped the area for the wave fight, and either my prep was really good or the wave fight was really easy, but it didn't take long for the way to the core to be open, and soon the way to Ryan. After Ryan's cutscene and Atlas's betrayal, I woke up at Tenenbaum Sanctuary before heading out to rush getting both the Lot 192s before trying to fight anything. It's here I learned that rushing to Fontaine's penthouse to grab the Lot 192 inside isn't possible until you learn what Lot 192 is. A little annoying as I had to backtrack out of the penthouse to Silksong's apartment, then back to the penthouse, but I guess it's a neat detail I didn't know. Along the way to gain to the first Lot 192, I upgraded the chemical thrower's consumption rate and upgraded the shotgun's rate of fire. After I get the first Lot 182, I hightail it to Silksong's free clinic to grab the second dose. After both doses were had, I head to the garden to get another combat tonic slot, which I put Ringe Liquor on. I then decided to take on one of the Rosies, and oh boy, this was the hardest fight I've ever had to do in this game. I died 3 times in this fight, as the Rosie's rivet gun deals insane damage, and the Rosie has so much HP, it takes a while to knock them down. I wasted all my healing kits here and a bunch of good ammo, but the Rosie did go down eventually, and I decided here to no longer fight any Big Daddies, as 1, the reward I'm getting for this specific little sister is the last reward I would need, and 2, I don't know if I can handle 6 more fights like that. With nothing more left to do here, I grab my reward at the Gatherer's Garden, Armored Shell 2, and purchase a physical tonic slot for Medical Expert and Electrobolt 3, then head to Point Prometheus. At this point, the wrench is really powerful, and most enemies don't really stand a chance against me. Even if they do hit me, I have Armored Shells 1 and 2 equipped, so the damage is greatly reduced. Needless to say, there isn't much of a challenge in this section, so I quickly grabbed the needed pheromones, the helmet, the suit, which makes me even more resistant, the boots, visited the garden and realized I had just enough Atom to upgrade my health, and finally modified the larynx. With Point Prometheus done, I summoned a little sister before going through the Proving Grounds. This is really just more or less the same as last time. The damage I can output is greater than the enemy spawn rate. The scariest part was when a security bot blew up on me and a little sister, which removed a good chunk of her health bar. But being the good temporary Big Daddy I am, I didn't let her die. The other scary part of this section is the final Big Daddy fight. Thankfully, it being a bouncer made the fight far easier, but I was still a little worried from the previous Rosie fight. With the Proving Grounds done, I stocked up in the final room, crafting and buying a bunch of items to use against Fontaine before taking the elevator up to him. Now, I would say this fight was difficult and required tactical thinking, and while it was for his first phase, I noticed a gobsmacking amount of propane tanks and explosive barrels in his arena and just so happened to have telekinesis equipped. So I started lobbing them at him, which decimated his phases until he was killed. Surprisingly, this was easier than the medium difficulty. With Fontaine dead, I soon get 4 achievements. A man chooses for beating the game on Survivor. I chose the impossible for beating the game on Survivor without using Vita Chambers. Brass balls for beating the game on hard mode without Vita Chambers. And seriously good at this for beating the game on the hardest difficulty setting. With those playthroughs completed, I only had 1 more achievement in the base game, to craft 100 items. In order to achieve this, I loaded back to my first playthrough right before the Fontaine fight, and crafted the hell out of the U-Invent machine, getting the next achievement, Av an Inventor. There's only 12 achievements remaining, and each has to do with the game's additional content, the challenge rooms. Each room has you rescuing a little sister, but are more puzzle focused, requiring you to use the game's mechanics to solve and progress through the room until you can rescue the little sister. There's also roses scattered about in these rooms, which require careful observation to find. There's 4 achievements for each room, 1 for completing the room, 1 for completing the room under a certain amount of time, 1 for an additional restriction/challenge, and 1 for collecting all the roses. The first challenge room I started with was the Iron Team, which has you trying to save the little sister from an enraged Big Daddy, without weapons. Starting off, I headed down this corridor while collecting crafting materials from these boxes. Eventually, I found this room which housed a gun range, where the turrets would auto-fire onto you. Hopping down below the range and doing some parkour on this frozen Rosie gives me the target dummy plasmid. I was trying to do the challenge achievement for this room, which was completing the room without destroying any of the turrets, as the way you progress normally is by using target dummy on the turrets to have the above RPG turrets destroy them, making passage safe. I accidentally destroyed some turrets while attempting pacifism, so I just went with it and did the stage normally. Once I got across, I reached a room where another Big Daddy was attacking the wall. There's a pressure plate in the center, but it needs something heavy to press down, so I can access the next room. So by using a decoy, I have the bouncer stand on the pressure plate and get to the next room, where I get the Winter Blast Plasmid. I get back to the first room and use the decoy to reposition the first Big Daddy, then use Winter Blast to get across to the final storage box. Heading back to the reception room down the corridor, I use the U-Invent to make an auto-hack tool to hack the door controls, opening the door and allowing the Big Daddy into the firing range. All I had to do now was kill him, and I did so by placing a decoy near him to have the RPG turrets attack him. Once he's dead, I head down and rescue the little sister, earning my next achievement, the Iron Team Rescuer. Now I wanted to attempt to complete the Pacifism Challenge. In this mode, you can quick save and quick load, and right before attempting to complete the gun bridge, I quick saved because I thought it would be easier to do with full health. My idea was correct as I got through the first try. A little tip if you attempt to do this: replacing the decoy stops the firing of the turrets for a split second, giving you a window of opportunity to move without taking damage. After I got Winter Blast and hacked the door, I killed the Big Daddy. You have got to be kidding me. Well, I had to load back my save, which was before getting through the firing range, so I had to do that again, which took me several re-attempts to get through, but once I did, I quick saved because I was not doing all that a third time. This time, I managed to kill the Big Daddy and save the little sister. This got me 2 achievements, the Iron Team Pacifist and the Iron Team Expert, for completing the challenge without killing any turrets and beating it in under 3 minutes. Now it was time to find all the roses. The first rose is found on the desk in the reception room. The second is found by using Decoy and Winter Blast to reposition the main Big Daddy under the rose so you can jump on top of it and grab the rose. The third and fourth rose is found after killing the Big Daddy. The third is obtained by having another Big Daddy hold down the pressure plate, then freezing it several times to keep it still, then rushing back to the main room where a panel is open and the rose is inside. The fourth rose, I genuinely don't know how people found this. I had to look up how to get it. After killing the Big Daddy, on his down body is a grenade launcher. Using this launcher, you shoot frag grenades at the middle RPG turret. Once it's killed, use more grenades to knock the body into an accessible location, and the rose is located on his chassis. Once I found all of them and saved the little sister, I got the final achievement for the Iron Team, the Iron Team Collector. The next challenge room is a shocking turn of events, which has you rescuing a little sister from a malfunctioning Ferris wheel. In order to save her, you need to use various means of producing electricity without the electroball plasmid. The challenge begins with you needing to produce a fatal accident, so you revive at the Vita chamber. Here, I get the shotgun and some electric buck ammo, which I use on the malfunctioning door to open it. I head down an elevator where I find the machine that controls the Ferris wheel. On the ground are some electric bucks, so I use them on the machine and the Ferris wheel turns once. So I need to find other methods to turn the Ferris wheel more. Thankfully, this shock opened up more of the area. I head back and enter this fairgrounds-like area, where at the front lies a telekinesis plasmid, and at the back I find a chemical thrower. Towards the front, I enter a room with a safe that needs to be opened using electricity. Entering the room caused several electric bolt traps to trigger, so I used telekinesis to have one intersect with the safe, causing it to open and give me the crossbow. Heading to the room across from it, I used telekinesis to bring an item to the nearby fire, which I used to melt the ice containing more electric bucks. It dropped down into this grate where I noticed more meltable ice holding an auto-hack tool. I could use this on the U-Invent station in front of the fairgrounds to create special ammo with electric properties. The crafting ingredients are scattered about the place, but overall aren't hard to miss. So I find a small item to burn and drop down the grate, then use telekinesis to grab both the bucks and the hack tool. With the hacked U-Invent, I crafted some electric gel and headed to the controls where I used both the electric bucks and gel to turn the wheel 2 more times. I then head to the restrooms where an upgraded Thugger Splicer producing electricity is at. By luring them to the controls, the Splicer shocks the controls, then dies, allowing me to turn the wheel a 4th time. Heading back to the fairgrounds, I enter a code I found on an ad for a winery, which opens up to reveal another upgraded Thugger Splicer. So I lure them to the controls and turn the wheel again. At this point it was a little lost, but then I found an electric trap bolt on this guy and used it on the controls, and missed. So I restarted. This time I hopped down onto the balcony below, picking up an additional electric bolt trap, but more importantly static discharge. Picking up the Sonic actually spawned an additional enemy via opening up a new room, so by using the electric bucks, the 3 enemies, and an electric trap bolt, I managed to turn the wheel enough times to rescue the little sister, earning me my next achievement, a shocking turn of events rescuer. Now for the speedrun. I started off by repositioning the camera to die before the level can even load in, allowing me to get the shotgun quickly. I hop down to the lower balcony and grab the electric trap bolt and static discharge. Once I hop down, I use the enemy spawn permitting static discharge to power up the wheel once, then as everything is opening up, use the free electric bucks to power it up a 2nd time. I then head to the bathroom to lure out the enemy within and use them to power the wheel a 3rd time. I then get the electric bucks from melting the ice it's encased in before grabbing the electric trap bolt the guy within the stall has, then get the crossbow. I then use the electric buck and 2 trap bolts to charge the wheel 3 more times and rescue the little sister. This gets me my next achievement, a shocking turn of events expert. For the challenge achievement in this room, you need to charge the Ferris wheel 9 times. I've already touched upon every way to shock the wheel, so I grab the bolt trap and discharge, use an enemy, then an electric buck, another enemy, grab the other electric buck and hack tool, use the enemy from the locked room, then use an electric buck, grab the crossbow and chemical thrower, crafted electric gel, then use the gel, grabbed another trap bolt from this guy within the stall, used 2 bolts, crafted a bolt, then used it to turn the wheel 9 times. This granted me the achievement, A Shocking Turn of Events Master Electrician. All that's left for this room is the roses, which there are 10 of. The first one I found by jumping on top of the elevator as it's going up, and it's at the very top. The second I found in a barrel in the Barrel Toss Carnival game. The third one I found in the locked room by climbing up some shelves and grabbing it off the chandelier. The fourth one I found after turning the wheel 6 times, and it's found inside the machinery that gets exposed after the Ferris wheel catches fire. The fifth one I found is on an advertisement inside the bathroom. The sixth one I found by sending the elevator down while on top of it and going into the side room. The seventh I found in a little sister vent near the fairgrounds. The eighth one I found by popping this balloon in the carnival. The ninth one I found behind the gate in the Rapture record store. The final one I found is in the pneumo in the freezer room. After grabbing all of them, I save the little sister and get the final achievement for this room, A Shocking Turn of Events Collector. The final challenge room is the hardest and longest out of the 3. World of Hurt has you rescuing a little sister after completing 8 rooms full of enemies. I already knew this would take a while, so I decided to knock out the challenge for this room, which was beating it with only the wrench, research camera, and plasmids. I start off by picking up the wrench on the way to the first room, which features a single splicer. It goes really easily, and the little sister gives me a gift full of useless items, but she does give some Adam. I use a teleporter to return to the main room where one of each vending machine lies. I buy Wrench Jockey 2 before heading to the next room, a single Big Daddy. This one worried me until I realized the room had a constantly electrifying pool of water, so I repeatedly lured the Big Daddy into the water, which eventually kills it. After each room, the little sister gives you some Adam and cash to spend on the vending machines in the main room. Each room also has a weapon upgrade station, not very useful for this run. Once I return, every room is open. I buy Armored Shell and Electrobolt before going to the security bot room. And here, there's a splicer that's controlling some security bots. I hack them and kill the Big Daddy, using a mix of the hack security bots and the 1-2 punch. There is also the splicer controlling the security bots, so I killed them and finished the room. I buy Vending Expert for cheaper health kits and hypos and go to the next room, Spider Splicers. All I have to do is lure them to me so I can blast them with Electrobolt to knock them down and easily kill them. Thankfully, there isn't a Big Daddy to kill here, so I get the little sister gift and head back up. I then head to the security turret maze, which is filled with turrets of all kinds and some enemies, including a Big Daddy. I hack a bunch of the turrets, take out the enemies, and the turrets help me kill the Big Daddy. There's a bunch of hidden flamethrower turrets that took me a while to find, but once every turret was hacked or destroyed, I got the gift and left the room. At the central hub, I buy Eve Saver and head to the Houdini Splicer room. This one is annoying as I can't hurt them unless there's somewhere I can access, so I make my way down the stairs to the bottom and methodically kill each splicer until there are none that remain. After that room, I buy Telekinesis and head to the room filled with all kinds of enemies. There's not much to say about this room except for the Big Daddy fight at the end. Thankfully, there are propane tanks in the room, so I use Telekinesis to lob them at the Big Daddy to easily kill him. With that room done, there is only one room left, all kinds of Big Daddies. This one was rough. At the hub, I bought Enrage so I could have the Big Daddies duke it out and hopefully kill each other, but if not, have one remaining. This room has 2 bouncers, 1 normal and 1 elite, and 2 Rosies, 1 normal and 1 elite. Enraging them does kill all but one, and it's the most annoying one, the Elite Rosie. It actually took me several tries to do this, but here's what I did. Before even fighting the Rosie, its health can vary, as sometimes it does a great job killing the others and has almost full health, but other times the enemies get a few hits and the health can be decently depleted. This run was great, as the Rosie started off with about half health. My general strategy is this: use Telekinesis to hold the other Big Daddy's bodies in front of me to act as a shield against the Rosie's gun, then throw the bodies at the Rosie to deal kinetic damage. I would also grab and throw his proximity mines whenever I could for more damage. This was honestly the only thing I could do, and this took a while. I'm just glad I had the Eve and the Hypos to do this. With that room done, I head back to the top and rescue... never mind, a few additional waves of enemies had to happen first. This section just spawns like 3 enemies at a time, each one doing its own thing. After killing all of them, the final enemy to spawn is a Big Daddy, but thankfully I had security bots to assist in defeating him, and once he was down, I rescued the little sister, getting 2 achievements: World of Hurt Tough Guy and World of Hurt Rescuer. Now it's time for the speedrun. I'll be honest, I tried to do this myself, but what I was doing didn't land me anywhere near the time requirement. So I looked at some tips and found the best guide. I followed this guide once, but that run also took too long, but it was working, so I tried it again and that run succeeded. I'll describe what I did in that run now. I start off by quickly killing the single splicer and loot around the room, specifically for film for the camera. I also upgraded the crossbow's damage. At the hub, I buy a bunch of steel bolts. Once I enter the single Big Daddy room, I use the research camera to get bonus damage against him, then kill him with the crossbow bolts, and with this setup it only takes 5 to kill. I upgrade the crossbow to decrease the breakage chance before heading back to the hub. I buy even more bolts before going to the security turret maze. Here, instead of hacking, the crossbow deals enough damage to one-shot the turrets and the splicers. I also upgrade my grenade launcher's damage here. Once all the enemies are dead, the Big Daddy can be filled with 5 bolts again. At the hub, I buy more bolts before heading to the security bot room. Instead of fighting the security bots, I rush over to the splicer controlling them, killing him to stop the turrets from attacking me. I then kill the Big Daddy with the crossbow bolt still. Heading back up, I spin my Atom on Electrobolt, Enrage, Armored Shell, and Bending Expert 2. The next room I go to is the several Big Daddy room. I research the Rosie for extra damage, then I use the same Enrage technique to get it down to just the singular Rosie. Then it becomes a pattern of using Electrobolt to stun the Rosie, then fire a Steel Bolt at him. I repeat this process until he dies, then I upgrade my grenade launcher to become immune to its explosions, then return to the hub. The next room I enter is the Spider Splicers, where I take advantage of the water pool in the center. By running around the room to aggro all the splicers, I then chill in the water until they drop down into it, where I use the Electrobolt on the water to kill several at once. If any remained after, I used the crossbow. I was supposed to have electric flesh here, so the electrified water dealt more damage, but I forgot to buy it. Returning to the hub, I buy more bolts and head to the Houdini Splicer room. Here, I shoot down the splicers as I go down the stairs, and once I reach the bottom, I take care of the stragglers. After this, I head to the final room, all kinds of enemies, where it's as simple as killing them all with the crossbow, or whatever you're feeling in the moment, as I killed a few with the wrench. Once I return to the hub, I bought several frag grenades, and used them on the enemies that spawned during the waves, and if they survived the frag grenade, I would hit them with the wrench. When I ran out of grenades, simply using the crossbow worked fine. Once the Big Daddy spawned, I used the crossbow bolts on him and was able to rescue the little sister in under 15 minutes, getting me the next achievement, World of Hurt Expert. All that remains is to collect the roses. I made a save right before the final ambush, as you can go back to each room through the teleporters. The first rose is in the singular Splicer room, between these mechanical looking things. The second is found in the single Big Daddy room, under the sunken floor. The third rose is in the Spider Splicer room, under the bench near the weapon upgrade station. The fourth rose is in the security bot room, and needs incinerate as it's found in some meltable ice near the security bot shutdown. The fifth rose is found in the Houdini Splicer room by jumping off the stairs and landing on this platform, and it's behind some sheet metal. The sixth rose is in the all kinds of enemies room, and is found to the left of the little sister vent. The seventh rose is located in the all kinds of Big Daddy room, and is found a bit to the right of the starting location. The final rose is found in the security turret maze, and it's located near the weapon upgrade station, up on high to where you need to jump to get it. With all the roses obtained, I do the ambush wave one final time before rescuing the little sister, and getting the final achievement of Bioshock, World of Hurt Collector. With that achievement, I have officially gotten 100% of the achievements Bioshock has to offer.